want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day, my book, The Mirror of Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
DreAllDay.com.
We're in the right place at the right time, tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. This is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, and everybody else out there to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Putting all this together, what you get is the mindset, method, the philosophy, the book, the podcast known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to be the lion for a day. It's an interesting one right here. I mean, every episode here is interesting, but this is interesting as well. Let's just say that. I'm not even going to say it's more interesting than anything else. You got to put all these together. Everything that we talk about here, you put them all together, you see how all of this stuff interconnects. So don't just take one of these. Even though the way that this show is structured, you can pick and choose topics and jump in and out at any point on this show. That's one of the beauties of the Work on Your Game podcast. But at the same time, if you listen to all of them, you start to notice how each topic connects to another topic. Now, it was only a few weeks ago where I was telling you briefly the story of a guy named Walter White from a TV show called Breaking Bad. When this guy was a nondescript high school teacher, wasn't really doing anything with his life. Nobody paid any attention to him except his wife and kids. And then he found out that he had a death sentence. His doctor told him he had cancer and he didn't have too much longer to live. So all of a sudden, Walter White decided to stop being so timid. He decided to stop holding back, I guess we could say in life. He decided to kind of go for broke, and he became a street pharmacist dealing drugs, utilizing his great chemistry knowledge. Became the biggest drug dealer in the southwestern United States, and a whole lot of great things happened for Walter. Some bad things happened as well, but it was the story of the main thing that I got from that, the whole storyline of Breaking Bad, was this person finally decided to stop holding back in life and become that lion. And his lion lasted for more than a day. It lasted, I don't know, 6 months to a year, something like that, maybe 2 years. And then he died of the cancer that his doctor told him that he was going to die from, but he made the most of his time in that period. Now, since you and I probably, or let's just say maybe, because I don't know you, since we don't have cancer diagnoses, we don't have death sentences from our doctors, what is our impetus to become that lion for a day? And the day, I'm saying metaphorically, what is our impetus to do it, since we don't know that we're going to be dead in a year? So we can't just be, I guess if you want to call what Walter White did reckless, if you want to call it that. What is going to make us do that? Why would we want to do it? What type of things can we do? How can we become that lion for a day? The person who stops holding back, the person who stops hesitating, the person who stops stopping themselves, the person who stops allowing fear and anxiety to slow us down, the person who maybe learns to channel that anger into action, channel your fear and anxiety into action, actually doing stuff instead of just thinking about stuff, imagining stuff, watching other people do stuff, and wondering what it would feel like for us to be the ones doing stuff. How about that? Now, if you're a member of the game group, which you should be, because you can get a free 2-week trial by going to workonmygame.com/game group. Therefore, everybody listening to this should be a member of the game group because it costs you literally nothing. I put a video in there that I grabbed off of YouTube. There's someone who was a big fan of the show made this about a 15-minute video explaining the timeline of Walter White's transformation in this show Breaking Bad. And you don't even have to have watched the show to understand this video. So I suggest you watch that. That's in the videos, curated videos section of the game group membership, is that Walter White video. And if you watch the show, then you'll probably really enjoy that video, because if you didn't like Walter White, you probably wouldn't have been able to watch the show, because the whole show was literally about him. So today's topic, again, how to be a lion for the day, because everyone knows the saying. Just in case anyone didn't, I'd rather be a lion for a day than a lamb that lives forever. Everybody knows that saying, right? Hopefully you do, because otherwise you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about when I say be a lion for a day. So now that we got that out the way, most of us never actually activate this lion into action. Even though everyone says they'd rather be the lion, most people never become the lion. I know a lot of people that I see on a consistent basis, and I see the way that they move, the way they think, I listen to the way that they talk, I see the way that they walk, and I never see the lion come out of them, at least not for a day. I mean, maybe it might come out for 15 minutes if it has to, but I don't see anybody just deciding that, you know what, I'm just going to be the lion, I'm going to throw caution to the wind, so to speak, and just, be who I want to be and do what I want to do, and consequences be damned. There are very few people I've come across in life who have actually decided to do that. They consciously make that decision, or unconsciously even make the decision. I see very few people ever doing this, even though, again, this is the part that kind of confuses me. How is it that everybody would rather be a lion for a day than a lamb that lives forever? But all I really see in life is a whole bunch of lambs living forever. So that's what I'm trying to figure that out outside of the Work on Your Game podcast. And once I figure it out, I'll come back and let you all know about it. But today's topic is all about being the lion means to, instead of erring on the side of caution, erring on the side of, quote, too far, close quote, versus erring on that side of caution. That said, today I'm going to explain how you can do this should you choose to accept the challenge. You don't have to do this. Notice I said how you can do this, not how you will and not how you should, but how you can should you choose to accept the challenge. So before we even get into this, I want to just plant a question in your mind. This is a rhetorical question I want you to consider and marinate on throughout your day, even after you finish listening to this episode. When's the last time you went too far? That's a damn good question, because see, as I said, I know a lot of people. I deal with a lot of people I've known for a long time, some people I know for short periods. And you know what's funny is a lot of the people that I know, people that I'm thinking of right now, like in my, I guess, subconscious mind as I'm talking to you, I can't think of a time when I've seen many of the people that I know go too far. I can't even think of it. I can think of times when I've gone too far. I can think of some times in the last 30 days when I've gone too far. Maybe we'll talk about that sometime in the future. We can't talk about it right now. But I want to ask you the question. When's the last time you have gone too far? Whether that's in something that you said, something that you did, some idea that you executed, some decision that you made that maybe everybody wasn't too happy about. When is the last time you went too far? And then let me ask you another question. When's the next time you're going to go too far? Or maybe the first time if you've never done it before. Keep that in mind as we get into our points. Point number one, today's topic once again is how to be the lion for a day. Point number one is lose the phrase supposed to from your vocabulary and lose the actions that follow the supposed to. Everyone's used this phrase before, right? Supposed to. I'll be talking to somebody. Maybe you have been the person being talked to. Maybe you've been the person who's talked to someone. Maybe you've been in my position and having this conversation. Let me tell you how the conversation goes. A person is telling me that they either need to, or they want to, or they're about to do a certain thing. And I say, okay. And then I ask them, well, why are you doing this certain thing? And they will say, I'm supposed to. Everybody is supposed to. Or they'll say something like, not saying me, but they'll say, you're supposed to. Not you like talking to me, but like, you're supposed to do this thing. You're supposed to go to the gym 3 times a week. You're supposed to write your book this way. You're supposed to have guests on your podcast. You're supposed to do these things. And a lot of people live their whole lives with a set of, I guess we'll say, principles or beliefs or ideas that are all driven by this supposed to mindset. They don't even know where they got these supposed tos from. And even when they do know where they got the supposed tos from, they got it from people who don't even have what they want, yet you're following that person's protocol. What sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. This is why you can't answer that question. But there are a lot of people walking around with a whole bunch of supposed tos in their mind for no reason. The supposed to is connected to nothing that they want. It's connected to no one who has what you want, but you are still living your life following the supposed to. So let me ask you a question here. How many supposed tos are reflected in your life right now? Let's not talk about the things you think about or the things you've heard or maybe some random thing you can pick out of thin air. Look at your own life right now. How many supposed tos are you living out that make no sense whatsoever for who and where and what you actually are? Probably several if you really thought about it and you wanted to keep it real with yourself. A supposed to is something, and I believe it was in my book, Work on Your Game, which you can get at workonyourgamebook.com. I believe it was in Work on Your Game that I talked about these supposed tos. Lose your supposed tos. People come up with these things and usually when people come up with a supposed to is because they're looking at what other people are doing. They see the examples that other people set and they say, okay, this is what everybody else is doing, so this is what I'm going to do. Somebody says, well, I'm going to work today. Well, why do you go to work every day? Well, you're supposed to go to work every day. Why is that? Because everybody goes to work. This is how most people pick up their supposed tos. And it may not be about work. It could be about anything in life. They see everyone else doing it, so they assume This is what you're supposed to do, and then they do it, and then this is what happens. They don't listen to the Work on Your Game podcast. They never have a conversation with me, so they live their whole lives doing what they see everybody else doing, never ever questioning why they're actually doing it. This is a tragedy. All right, this is not a comedy. This is a tragedy. People pick things up that they saw and they heard, and now they're holding themselves to these standards, if you even want to call it that, for no tangible reason. In episode number 845, I talked about the hypothetical question people ask, like, what am I supposed to do if? And we addressed the supposed to and the if in that episode. Again, that's episode 845, which you can access as a member of the game group. Go to workonmygame.com/game group. Supposed to, when you're living your life via a supposed to idea, is the same as asking permission. And here's how. Asking permission means you go to someone else and say, is it okay for me to do this thing? And Robert Kiyosaki, who I mentioned, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the book that put me into the mindset of being an entrepreneur, I once heard him giving a talk. And he said, you can't get into a position of power in your life if you're asking permission all the time. And when you're following your life through a supposed to, you are asking permission of, quote, everyone else, or whomever you got that supposed to from. Might have been your parents, maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your coworkers, whoever you got that supposed to from. When you're following it, you are asking those people's permission to do what they're doing. That's what a supposed to is. All right, I'm asking everyone else who I've already seen doing this thing, this is the right thing to do, right? This is what I should be doing, right? This is the way I should live my life, right? You are asking permission. And the thing is, nobody who's always asking permission can have power in life, because somebody else determines what you can do and what you can't do. You're doing what you think is acceptable, hoping that it will get you accepted. But here's the problem. Even if it works, even if you follow a supposed to and you are accepted, you are being less than yourself in the process. You're definitely not being a lion. Lions do not ask permission. Now, I'm not talking, well, we could be talking lion to animal. Animal lion doesn't ask permission. The animal lion goes after what it wants. Now, it doesn't mean it always gets it, but it damn sure will go after it, and it doesn't wait for someone else to give it the okay to do so. You, if you're going to be the lion for a day, you got to stop asking permission. You got to stop doing what you think is acceptable, what you think everyone else thinks you're supposed to do, what you think you're supposed to do, because you know that's what will be accepted by everybody else. What's wrong with doing something that everyone doesn't accept? What's wrong with doing something that everybody else is not doing? Do you give yourself the permission to do that? It's not about what anybody else is saying or doing. It's about what you're saying and doing to yourself. If you're going to be the lion, that's the way that you got to go. Point number 2. Today's topic is how to beat a lion for a day. Worry less about consequences. Now, this is a tough one. This is a tough one for many people to utilize, this point here. Now, while this is a necessary point, if you're going to be the lion for a day, you have to stop worrying so much about consequences. However, it's hard for people to stop worrying about consequences because consequences can actually happen. Consequences are real things. What did we talk about in yesterday's episode? First energy that I told you need to learn to control is fear. Fear of the consequences. Fear of the anticipation of consequences, which we also know as what? The second thing I talked about yesterday, anxiety. So you see how all these topics go hand in hand? Worrying about consequences usually leads to this: doing nothing. See, if you're thinking about saying something to somebody that you know needs to be said, but you are worried about the consequences of speaking, such as them getting angry with you, them ignoring you, them cussing you out, them not wanting to be your friend anymore, them firing you from your job, them quitting their job, whatever this is, them just getting away from you, them punching you in the face, them throwing a glass of water on you, whatever consequence you are afraid of usually keeps you from taking the action in the first place. And I'm saying this in a general sense. I'm talking to everyone who's listening to this right now because I've dealt with enough people in life to know this to be true as a general rule. When people are afraid of a certain consequence, they usually don't take the action that will lead to the consequence. They end up doing nothing, and they still have a less than optimal situation because the thing that they want to do would probably make the situation better, or at least change the situation that they don't like. It might make it worse, might make it better, but at least it will change it. At least you know you're getting something different. Most people are not willing to do that because they're worried about the possible consequences of taking the action in the first place. They're worried about the consequences of taking personal initiative and making things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. So most people sit around their whole lives and wait for things to happen because they're worried about the consequences. So let me get something out of the way clearly right here. Consequences are not imaginary. All right, consequences can happen. You can take initiative somewhere. You can be bold somewhere. You can be confident. You can go too far sometimes in life, and there are consequences that you will have to deal with as a result of your decisions and your actions. Okay? Trust me, I know. But given that you're going to be alive and you're going to have your freedom still, given that those two things are pretty much guaranteed from your action, your self-doubts about consequences are limiting you more than they're helping you or saving you. Let me say that again. The consequences that you're afraid of. Now, if the consequence you're looking at means you might lose your life or you might lose your freedom, then maybe you should think twice about what you're about to do. If it's anything less than that, all right, you just have some self-doubts that are limiting your actions. And they're limiting your actions more than they are actually helping you and more than they're saving you from anything. What are they saving you from? There's a book I read by Paul Arden. It's called Whatever You Think the Opposite. And he said there was a story of this young man who got into some trouble, and he went to his father and said, "Dad, I'm in trouble." And his dad looked up and said, "Well, are they going to kill you?" And the son said, "No." And the dad said, "Well, you're not in trouble." And he didn't know even what the son was talking about. That's the only question that he asked without even asking for the details. And I'm relaying that story to you so you can hopefully push yourself past this terror barrier, past your comfort zone of too much worry over consequences that haven't even happened to you yet, time traveling, and just do what you're going to do. Be the lion. Episode number 82, I talked about your 4 symptoms of fear addiction. If you are addicted to fear, episode number 82 will tell you exactly how and why and what to do about it. Episode number 1207, do not settle for good enough out of fear that you won't find better. Episode 1189, what would you accomplish without fear in your way? And a whole bunch of other episodes where we talked about your concerns, if you call them concerns, or your worries, your fears over the possible consequences of an action that you haven't even taken yet. The lion, think of the lion in the jungle, not the lion at the zoo, but the lion in the jungle. It knows that it has to hunt and kill every single day to survive. If the lion does not hunt and kill something for a certain number of days, that lion's going to die of starvation. And if it has pups, they're going to die too, because nobody's eating. The lion is not worried about, well, look, when a lion sees a buffalo, let's say, for example, I don't know if I was on YouTube, Instagram, I saw a video of a couple of lionesses attacking a buffalo. Now, a buffalo weighs a whole lot more than a lion. The buffaloes have these thick horns on their head, and they will fight back. All right, they don't just submit. When a lion goes and attacks an animal, there are several animals that if a lion attacks the animal will fight back. All right, it's not going to just lay down and die. There are some of them that do because they don't have any mechanisms for fighting back, but there are some that will fight back. So if a lion hasn't eaten in 5 days and is about 1 day away from starvation, and it sees a big buffalo that weighs 3 times as much as the lion doesn't say, well, what if the buffalo fights back? What if the buffalo is having a bad day? You know, how thick, how hard are those horns just in case I get hit by one? Is the lion able to kick with its hind legs? The lion doesn't think about any of that. The lion is only thinking, if I don't kill this buffalo because I don't see any other prey around here, I'm going to die. So the lion goes after what it has to go after. And with his back to the wall like that, often the lion succeeds. And if it doesn't succeed, then the lion's like, okay, I didn't get that one, but I better get something or else I'm about to die. And it goes and finds another one. The lion is not worried about what the buffalo is going to do when it's time to eat. The lion doesn't worry, hey, what if the gazelles are a little bit too fast and I can't catch one? Or what if a rival lion or a hyena comes and challenges me for my kill and tries to steal it from me if I kill something. So maybe I shouldn't kill this deer that I see or this wildebeest, because if I kill it, then another lion might come and try to take it from me. So maybe I should just starve to death so I don't have to deal with that consequence of someone trying to take what I got. So maybe I should just get nothing. This is how a lot of people live their lives. Now, while that sounds ridiculous for a lion to think that way, or even a human to think that way, let me just not accomplish anything so then nobody's coming after me for my accomplishments. This is how many people live. They may not admit it, they may not say these exact words out loud, but this is exactly what a whole lot of people do in life. So concerned about the consequences of an action that they never actually take the action. So they never even get to step B, which is the consequence. Consequence focus. Well, let me back up. A lion is focused only on the task at hand and never on the possibilities of losing, possibilities of consequences, the possibilities of some adverse outcome from an action that it's taken. A lion understands that even though there are possible adverse outcomes to the actions that I take, I'll deal with those when they happen. So I'm going to do what I got to do right now. And if that person gets mad, I'll deal with them being mad. I'm going to do what I got to do now. If I get fired, I'll deal with being fired. If this customer says, I want my money back and I'll never shop here again, we'll deal with that when they say it. If this buffalo fights back, I'll deal with the buffalo that fights back. If the gazelle runs really fast, I'll have to deal with a running gazelle, but I got to do what I got to do. This is how the lion thinks. When you are too focused on losing, when you're too focused on consequences, when you're too focused on what might go wrong if I do this, this, and this, you know what usually happens? The very things that you're concerned about, they happen. What you focus on, you create. The lion does not focus on consequence. The lion focuses on achievement. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to be the lion for the day. And another thing on point number 2, if you go back to that story of Walter White, even if you never watched the show Breaking Bad and you just heard my synopsis of it that I gave you a few weeks ago here on the show, or you go watch that 15-minute video on the game group membership, Walter White, the main thing that he did was lose his inhibitions about consequences. I told you, when I told that story, I told you that Walter White's brother-in-law was a police officer, and Walter White was dealing drugs. And he was not openly dealing drugs, but he was dealing drugs, living his life that he was living, knowing that his brother-in-law was out looking for some drug dealer who was selling this pure quality crystal methamphetamine, and it was his brother-in-law that was doing it, and he kept doing what he wanted to do anyway, because he was no longer worried about consequences. This is what lions do. Point number 3. Again, how to be the lion for the day is the topic. Respect the power of your competition. Okay, I'm not telling you to ignore the fact that your competition has some abilities too. Don't ignore, Mr. Lion, that the buffalo might fight back. Okay, because that might get you killed. Don't ignore the fact that the gazelle is going to run away when you try to chase it. All right, and that's his skill, is that it's really fast. Respect the power of your competition if you are in any type of competitive field in your life. And we all are in competitive fields in one way, shape, or form. You're in competition against yourself and nothing else. But while you're respecting the power of your competition, respect your own power even more. This is what the lion does. Notice that when you watch National Geographic or something, you see lions go attack some prey. The lion doesn't just look at the gazelle or the buffalo and think that it's just going to lay down and die just because it's all a lion. They understand that the buffalo is going to fight. The wildebeest is going to try to gang up and push the lion off of the baby wildebeest. It understands that the gazelle is going to run. The lion understands that there's going to be some competition for them to eat today. They got to do something to eat. They understand that the hyenas are going to come and try to steal their kill after they kill one. There's going to be 20 hyenas, there's only one lion. The lion understands all that, but it also understands, okay, if I got to fight these hyenas so I can eat today, we're going to fight. If I got to fight off this other lion, then me and this other lion are going to fight. If I got to chase the gazelle, then me and the gazelle are going to run. It's going to be a foot race. We're going to see who catches who. Or if I catch the gazelle or the gazelle gets away, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. So you respect the power of your opponent. You respect that your opponent has some abilities and that they're going to fight back. Don't act like they're not there, but also respect your own more. This is what you got to do. Any of you who's into fighting, and I'm not talking about like random reckless street fighting, but MMA fighting, boxing, any type of martial arts, you understand this. You have to respect the ability of your opponent, because if you don't, you can get yourself seriously hurt in any type of grappling competition or boxing or anything like that. You respect that your opponent with one punch or one kick or one knee to the head could really fuck you up in some ways. But at the same time, you respect your own ability enough that you're willing to step into that ring and take that risk and believe that you're going to win the fight. Because if you don't believe you're going to win, you respect your opponent too much, you might as well not even be in the ring. And if you're going to the ring not respecting your opponent enough, you might not walk out of the ring. They might have to carry you out. This is what the lion does. The lion knows that the gazelle is fast, and this is why you watch one of those TV shows. What do you see the lions doing when they're sneaking up on some prey? Because the lion as an animal is not really that fast. Maybe the cheetah or the jaguar or one of those other cats are faster. The lion is not that fast. So what does the lion do when it sees some prey that it's plotting on? It lays low in the grass and it tries to get as close as possible before it starts running after the animal. Before it starts running after its prey, before the prey notices that the lion is around and they all start running away, the lion tries to get as close as it can. Why? Because it respects the fact that that prey is probably faster than him. It respects that. It also knows that once it gets a hold of that gazelle, it's probably a wrap for the gazelle. The gazelle is not going to get away once it catches it. So the lion, again, I respect your speed, Mr. Gazelle, but also respect the powers of my jaws and my teeth to kill you once I catch up to your ass. Being a lion does not mean ignoring the ability of your opposition, but it does mean trusting your own skill more than you respect theirs. When you respect other people's skill too much, you stop respecting your own, and then you're worried about the consequences more than you're worried about more than you're excited. There's that word, excited about the outcome. Therefore, you do nothing. Respect their abilities, whatever your competition is, whether it's a situation, a mindset, a circumstance, is you from yesterday, or a person, place, or thing. Respect their abilities just enough that you know you got to bring your own A game to win. If you bring your A game, you should believe that you will be successful more times than not. That's what a lion thinks. Point number 4, today's topic is how to be the lion for the day. Use your energy to attack and execute, and that's all you need to do. Let me say it again, and I'll explain what I mean. Utilize your energy to attack and execute, meaning to take action, take initiative, get done what you came to get done, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything else. Because see, lions, they don't make promises. Lions don't brag and boast about what they're going to do. Lions do not explain themselves after what they did. They do not apologize after they do something. All lions do is execute. And everybody knows that the lion executed. Despite the fact that the lion said nothing. The lion did no promotion. The lion runs no advertisements. The lion does no sponsored posts. But everybody knows that the lion was there. And everybody knows the lion's capabilities. Why is this? How is this? Because of the results of their actions. See, if you're going to be a lion in life, you don't need to talk too much about what you're going to do, what you're thinking about, what you're planning, asking everybody what they think about the actions you're thinking about taking. You don't have to do that if you're being a lion. Now, if you're being a lamb, you do that. And as I said, there are a lot of lambs walking around this planet. Lions just get things done. Everybody knows that the lion was around because they see the dead body. Everybody knows that the lion was around because the gazelles know, because there's one less gazelle today than there was yesterday. Everybody knows because of your actions that you were there. When Walter White broke bad and became this big time badass drug dealer, he stopped apologizing. I don't remember him making too many apologies, not even to his own wife, not even to his own family, not even to his business partners. He stopped apologizing. Anytime he did something that ended up being, quote, wrong, close quote, he just fixed it. He did something to fix whatever he did wrong, if he believed that it was wrong. If you thought it was wrong, well, then that's your problem. That's not his problem. That's your belief that he was wrong. It's not his belief. The lion doesn't have to make promises. The lion doesn't have to talk shit in advance about what they're about to do. The lion doesn't have to talk themselves up. The lion doesn't have to boost their own confidence. All the lion does is seize an opportunity, acts on an opportunity, executes on the opportunity, and then you know that the lion was around because all of the above, because things are done. They don't have to do too much talking. So the next time the lion comes in the room, everybody knows, oh, that's the lion. All right, that's the lion that killed that buffalo. That's the lion that ate that gazelle whole. That's the person that did that thing. That's the person who, when they do stuff, they just get it done. They don't even have to talk too much. And this is what happens. Now everybody else is talking for you. You don't have to do any talking. Your actions are speaking for themselves. You've heard that phrase before, right? Everybody knows about the lion, even though the lion never says a word. And everybody knows they got to be careful around the lion, because whatever that lion did before, the lion might do it again. So we better tread lightly around this lion, because we already know that the lion's not going to talk too much about what they're going to do. They're just going to do it, and there's going to be a victim, and then there'll be witnesses. But that's it. Not going to be too much talking. Lions are known for their results, ladies and gentlemen. Lions are not known for what they say. All right, you ever heard a lion talk? I'm not talking about the Lion King, not Simba and Mufasa. A real life lion, you never heard them talk. You watch Breaking Bad, again, as Walter White is one of the best examples that I could think of this. The person turning into the lion for, metaphorically speaking, today. Yeah, he spoke, there was dialogue, but he wasn't speaking about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. He didn't have to talk to try to intimidate anybody or get anyone on his side or get anyone to believe that he was about what he was about. All he had to do was do it. And they will find out soon enough. Lions, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to be one, you got to start being known for your results. Not for your promises, not for your plans, not for your thought about it's, but the things you actually get done. We pay attention to the lion because we are captivated by the knowledge of what we know the lion is capable of. You go to the zoo and they got the lion locked up in some cage, or they have the lion. When I went to the zoo in Miami, last time I was there, probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, they have it's like a little safari setup area they have for the lions. But it's not like the lion's out in the open. A lion can't come out and touch us. It's still locked up. It's just in a much bigger space that seems more, quote, natural, close quote. But we admire the lions not because the lion's going to get up and roar and put on a show for us. They don't do that. Usually they're just laying around doing nothing, waiting to be fed. We admire the lion because we know what the lion is capable of. We know the abilities that lion has lying dormant within itself if it was ever to be let out into the wild again. That's why you pay attention to the lion. If you're going to be a lion for a day, that's what you got to become. Less talk, more action. Let's recap today's topic, which is how to be the lion for a day. Since everybody knows the saying, I'd rather be a lion for a day than a lamb that lives forever, when are you going to start activating that lion and stop being a lamb? Today I'm going to explain exactly how you can do this should you accept the challenge. Number one, lose the phrase supposed to from your vocabulary and the actions that follow it. I talk to a lot of people who have this challenge or say they have a challenge, and the challenge boils down to what they think they're supposed to do, right? And they're supposed to is connected to nothing and no one, has no connection to what they actually want to achieve in life. Supposed to is like asking permission. Lions don't ask permission, ladies and gentlemen. Point number two, worry less about consequences. Even though consequences are real and consequences can happen, as long as that consequence is not going to cost you your life or your freedom, your self-doubts are limiting you more than they are actually helping you or saving you. Refer to episodes number 82, 1207, and 1189 for more on this topic. What would you accomplish if you didn't have fear in your way? The lion knows that it has to hunt and kill every single day to survive. It is not worried about, well, what if I run and don't get nothing for it? What if the buffalo fights back? What if the gazelle is too fast? The lion is only focused on what it needs to do and never on the possibilities of losing. Not on the possibilities of the hyenas coming and trying to steal its kill from it. Even though it may happen, the lion understands, I got to do what I got to do right now. And if something happens in the future that I got to deal with, guess when I'm going to deal with it? In the future when it actually happens. Point number three, respect the power of your competition, but respect your own power more. The lion knows that the gazelle is fast. That's why it tries to get as close as it can before it starts running, because it knows the gazelle has the advantage in speed. So it tries to close that gap. It respects the speed of the gazelle by trying to close the gap as much as possible before the race begins. It knows that the buffalo is strong. That's why they team up when they go against a buffalo. They don't make it a one-on-one because they probably won't win that. Respect your opponent's ability just enough that you know you got to bring your own A game to win. Point number four, use your energy to attack and execute and not for anything else. You don't need to make promises. Don't brag. Don't boast about what you're going to do. Don't explain or apologize afterwards. Just execute. And everybody's going to know that you were there not because you talked it up, but because of the results of your actions. So the next time you walk in the room, everybody already knows, oh, that's the person that did XYZ yesterday. They might do it again. So let's be careful around this person. The lion is known for their results, ladies and gentlemen, not their promises, not what they said they were going to do, not what they thought about doing, but for what they actually achieved and executed on. And we watch the lion, even when it's locked up in a cage, because we know in our minds what that lion is capable of if it wasn't locked up in that cage. If you want to be the lion in life, all you got to do is follow these 4 steps. I guarantee you'll become a lion immediately. I mean, you could be the lion right now if you've been listening to what I've been saying. Now, you want to be the lion in all of your life, in everything that you do. You stop worrying about consequences. Stop holding back so much. Stop not following through on your disciplines. Be more bold and putting yourself out there. Mentally tough and dealing with setbacks and continuing to move forward anyway. All you got to do is become a member of the gang group where you get access to 800 hours of me giving you the exact things that I gave you here today on so many topics that I can't even name them all off the top of my head. 20 plus category topics just from this podcast alone. Every episode in the history of the show, of course, ordered and organized. All the curated videos that I found online, hundreds of articles that I've read online that I think you'd be interested in reading that you should read. Go get those in the gang group membership. A bunch of courses that are not accessible anywhere else outside of the gang group membership. You can't even purchase them from me. You can only get them as members of the gang group. Go to workonmygang.com/gang group. Start your membership now and start being a goddamn lion. Stop being a lamb. All right, lambs get eaten. Work on your game. Dre all day.